give us a countdown or anything. She just goes 3.
You can have the rankings on the screen, or
rookie move.
Yeah, there you go.
Dude, that fastball came quick. Well, Modern Day and IMG have made it easy for me. 1-2 all year. I think that's where they've been the entire season. How about this playoff bracket coming up, though, down in Southern California?
Yeah.
We're going to touch on that in a little bit, but...
Yeah, yep.
4 top 16 teams.
Toughest playoff bracket in the history of playoff brackets.
History. All time. Book it.
There was a lot of chatter about that on Twitter.
Yeah.
About other states having tougher playoff brackets, but I don't know about that.
And you know what's crazy is this is just like the sectionals, so it's not even like the state playoffs.
Right.
Where, you know, like Ohio, that Division I bracket, you got, you know, a ton of ballers from Cleveland, Cincinnati, but here it's basically just one region. Pretty impressive.
It is impressive, and we are live on Facebook here. That is Zack Poff. I am Steve Montoya, and we are talking top 25 football rankings. Zach, in playoff, we're in that mode right now, and a lot of teams actually playing in the playoffs this year. A lot of teams fought to get in. Now seedings, everything. Texas still got a little bit to go, but what stood out for you this week, looking back on the weekend?
Yeah, if we pull up the rankings real quick, you'll get a look. There's 2 new teams. Chandler's been super impressive. You know, Jacob Conover, the quarterback's back. They've won 7 games in a row. We'll talk about them in a sec. St. Ignatius is also in. And, you know, I just look at these top 10 teams, though. There's no movement at all. They all won, looked impressive. Looking forward to see Modern Day and potentially a championship game in that CIF Southern Section D1 championship against either Centennial or Bosco. But, you know, Modern Day, potentially they could get Long Beach Poly or J. Sarah in the 2nd round. Then they could get Chaminade or Mission Viejo in the semifinals. And then after that, potentially you could see Centennial and Bosco. But, you know, once Texas gets to the playoffs, then we'll come out with the top 10 playoff brackets. We're just waiting until, obviously, Texas. You know, you got 6A, D1, and D2, along with 5A, D1, and D2. Those are going to be 4 of the toughest postseason brackets. Be right there with SoCal, you know, Ohio with that Division I field, which is pretty impressive too.
For sure. All right, leave your comments if you want to talk about football rankings or anything high school football related. We'll try to get to those. What's up, Larry, as usual? Hello, Randy, out in Woodstock,
you know
Georgia.
What? I'm getting old. I forgot what I wanted to say too was Ben Davis was super impressive too, because they played Warren Central. Warren Central's got this guy David Bell, is an absolute stud wide receiver. Warren Central was actually leading at halftime of that game, but Ben Davis fought through. Reese Taylor, you know, he's put his name right in the mix for Player of the Year honors. They came back, won that game 36-29. Super impressed with Reese Taylor and Johnny Adams. I really think Ben Davis is going to win that 9th state title this year, and I really thought the winner of that game would probably win that 6A Indiana state title. But, you know, you got teams like Center Grove, Carmel, and some other big-time teams there, but I was really impressed with Ben Davis. They really, you know, battled some adversity last week and fought through a big win for the number 6 team in the country.
All right, and then Robert wants to know what's up with Bakersfield, California. I think teams like that we'll see more as we get into the state and regional to see if teams like that push up in the rankings. West Point, Mississippi getting love. Eddie says best bracket in the country, CIF Southern Section Division I.
Yeah, I agree.
We have an article on that right now on the homepage that basically says this might be one of the toughest playoff brackets, not just this year, but ever.
Yeah.
I mean, it's loaded up and down.
You know, we were talking earlier, you know, Gardena Serra, obviously, they're not where they were when they had, you know, Marquise Lee, Robert Woods, and all those guys, Adoree Jackson, but still a very talented team, and they're the 15th seed. They got to, you know, how would you like to be Corona Centennial? You're the number 2 seed. Usually you play that 15th seed right off the bat. It's like, all right, you know, should be an easy win. Gardena Serra's got at least 4 or 5 guys that potentially could be in the NFL on that roster. So.
Yeah, and your semifinal game, if you get to that point, if the seeds play out like they should, would be Centennial and Bosco in a semifinal game, not even a championship.
Those are 2 top 10 teams right there.
Yeah,
it's
that's
impressive.
Crazy. All right, what's up in San Marcos, Texas? Chris says he can't wait for the St. Edward Minter game in Ohio. Will be a good one.
That's going to be featured in our top 10 games of the week, you know. St. Edward. Only loss this year was to St. Ignatius, who just jumped in our top 25 this week. And then the winner of that game potentially will play St. Ignatius. St. Ignatius has got to get a win. I believe they play Euclid this weekend, so you could get that rematch of St. Edward, St. Ignatius.
That'd be good.
So that'd be a big-time game right there. Yeah, you know, whoever wins that Ohio Division I bracket, you can just book it. They're going to be in the top 25 to end the season.
Oh, yeah, for sure. All right, Chris wants to know why Chaminade is not part of the Xcellent 25.
Yeah, if we pull up the next 5. These are the group of...
the next 5. Come on, rookie producer.
Come on, Michelle. No.
Oh, man.
But,
there we go.
There it is. And you'll get a look at Chaminade. They're right there at number 28.
Okay.
They're close. You know who else I've been getting killed on is Folsom. Folsom's actually 31, so they're right there.
Right.
They're part of the next 5. So a lot of California teams on there, a couple of Texas also. Austin Westlake's been super impressive this year, you know. Been just impressed with what they've done. They lost their quarterback, Sam Ellinger, who's now playing with the Texas Longhorns. They haven't lost a game this year. DeSoto's obviously right there too, but you know, Chaminade, they got this cat, Andrew Van Buren, running back, Boise State commit. Probably the most underrated high school football player in the state of California. It seems like every week he goes for 200 yards and 3 or 4 touchdowns. But he's going to get a chance to prove it against the big boys here, and you could potentially see a second-round matchup with Chaminade and Mission Viejo, which would be a big-time ball game.
Yeah, right on cue. Lamont says, watch out for that Mission Viejo and Chaminade game. That one's a good one to watch the first round.
Yeah, you got 2 of the best players in the state with Elijah Griffin and Andrew Van Buren going toe-to-toe. And you also got Michael Wilson, a Stanford commit for Chaminade. I mean, ton of studs. Austin Osborne.
Yeah. All right, Sam Marcus, Texas getting some love. Columbia, South Carolina. Timmy says IMG goes down this week.
I don't think so. Not against Bishop Sullivan. But hey, last year they almost did pull the upset against IMG Academy. But I look at IMG's defense. You got my guy Buki, Brendan Radley-Hiles, stud, Xavier Thomas. This is, you know, arguably the best defense in high school football.
All right, hello there from Morris, Illinois, Reno Blake. Hello to you. And let's get to a couple of the teams that have entered in this week's ranking, starting with the team out in Arizona.
Yeah, Chandler's back, you know, the defending 6A state champs. They started the year in the top 25. They had a tough game against IMG where their quarterback, Jacob Conover, went down, only a junior, but he's finally back. They're playing like I thought they would all season long. They've won 7 games in a row. When it comes to talent, they're right there with anybody on the West Coast. 2 studs in the backfield, Drake Anderson to Carlos Brooks. You got Gunnar Romney and Jared Caldwell at wide receiver. They got a matchup this weekend in the 6A quarterfinals against a very good Pinnacle team, a team that took Chandler to overtime earlier this season. But that game, they didn't have Jacob Conover under center. They had their backup quarterback in. Conover's back. He's playing great football right now, and I'd be kind of surprised if Chandler doesn't win and repeat as 6A state champs. You got Mountain Point on the other side of the bracket, so potentially a rematch of last year's state championship game could go down between Mountain Point and Chandler. I know Chandler wants another crack at Mountain Point. That's one of their 2 losses, but once again, Jacob Conover missed that game because of an injury. So,
all right, South Point, Rock Hill, South Carolina.
Yeah, number 10 team in the country, and you know, Darion Kendrick, Clemson commit. I've been telling my guy CB this all the time. Cam Akers last year, you knew he was going to be a stud running back at the next level. Was a quarterback in high school. It's the same thing with Darion Kendrick, who's playing quarterback, but he'll be a wide receiver at Clemson next year. So,
all right. Let's see. Mater Dei. You think Mater Dei has a chance to lose this week?
No. All right. 0%.
Do you think it'll be Mater Dei Long Beach Poly next? Not this Friday, but a week from Friday? Or?
I don't know, because J. Sarah Catholic's really good. They can put up points, and I don't know what was going on with Pauly last week. Matt Kraut didn't start the game, but he came in the second half. I think if he would have played the whole game, they probably would have beat Sarah. But it was you know, they lost 24-20. It was a good game, but yeah, I'm gonna say it's gonna be Pauly Mater Dei, but I wouldn't be surprised if J. Sarah won. J. Sarah's got some studs.
All right, hey Robert, what's up to you, my man? Corey says DeAndre Glass from Katy just keeps getting better and better. He's forced to be reckoned with.
A few weeks ago, 6 carries, 5 touchdowns, 200-plus yards, and I think the last 3 weeks he scored 11 or 12 touchdowns. So get this guy the ball. You see Rodney Anderson from Oklahoma doing work, and you also see Kyle Porter doing work for Texas. I think DeAndre Glass is the best of those 3 running backs that Katy has produced. So that just says how good this kid is.
For sure, bright future. All right, let's get to the other team that entered the rankings this week. You kind of hit on them a little bit earlier, but strong team out of Ohio.
Oh yeah, definitely. Cleveland Power, St. Ignatius. They're 10-1 this year so far, and You know, the thing that's super impressive with these boys is they handed St. X its first loss of the season. They did the same thing to St. Edward. So they've shown they can hang with the top teams from the state of Ohio. They got a matchup with Euclid this weekend in the regional semifinals, and then potentially another game against St. Edward. So this is a good one. You know, Chuck Kyle, you know, talk about legendary head coaches. He's been there for a long, long time. He's been there longer than I've been alive, and I'm 30 now. So
yeah, you're getting old, man.
That says something. But you know,
you turned 21.
That's right, 21. That's right. And he's won 11 state titles, though, as head coach. Pretty impressive, trying to get his first since 2011. So state record, though. I mean, it's pretty good. You got 11 state titles under your name.
Yeah,
so.
that's not bad. All right, shout out to the Bartram Braves. Good luck to them this week.
You guys had a pretty good win last week, I heard too, right?
Hey, it's on my team, but yeah. I mean, you know, Plasters got the 1 seed.
Let's go.
Casimir Allen, two-layer union, best back in the nation. You'll have to check him out. All right, proud of the Santiago Sharks. Congrats to the Sharks out there. The Forks in New York will be the Class B NYS champions, so watch out for the Forks.
Watch out for the Forks.
All right, Lee County and Sanford, North Carolina. Lone Star play Friday. They can beat anyone.
Okay.
Watch out for Lone Star. All right, Clearwater Central Catholic. Another one to keep an eye on. Kyle says we should do small school rankings.
You can do it, Kyle.
Well, we do kind of,
you
know, we'll get to small schools. Small schools need love. I mean, small schools, there's some great football.
Talented teams, too, yeah.
Some great football amongst the small schools, that's for sure. All right, DeSoto, Texas getting some love.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about the southern section, the Division I playoff bracket got put out over the weekend, and right away, I mean, we kind of talked about this all year, but I mean, that thing has four of the nation's top 17 teams in it alone, and I know we're going to put out a toughest playoff brackets in the nation once Texas is in the playoffs, but this has got to be one of the toughest ever.
Yeah, and I was telling you before, you know, even this weekend, I really think this is the toughest postseason bracket I've ever seen. I mean, you look at this modern day team, if we want to throw the highlights of JT Daniels, but there's not a more complete team in all of high school football than what Modern Day brings to the table. But there's still 3 or 4 teams in this field that could knock off Modern Day. That just shows you how talented it is. JT Daniels, though, the kid's only a junior. He's thrown for 3,000 yards and 36 touchdowns so far this year. He's a future USC Trojan, which I obviously love to say. But Modern Day, man, you talk about talent. Amon-Ra St. Brown, you could make a strong case that he is the most talented player in all of high school football. And that just shows you how good Modern Day is this year, though, because they played the first 3 or 4 weeks without him and just rolled teams. And they've been rolling teams all year. And when it comes to toughest schedules, you could say the Monarchs have the toughest, and they've won every game by at least 2 scores this year.
Yeah, and I know a lot of the social chatter was about, well, Texas is a better football state and Florida's a better football state, but the argument here is not about who's the better football state. It's about literally one section title bracket with 4 of the nation's top 17 teams, and then
everyone else too.
And everyone else is legit as well. So it's not an argument of California has the best football. It's about just this one bracket alone.
You look at the Trinity League. It's, you know, most people would say it's the toughest. All 5 teams from the Trinity League are in this playoff bracket too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's super impressive what the Trinity League does. Then you got other teams like obviously Chaminade, Corona Centennial. The list goes on and on. Long Beach Poly, Rancho Cucamonga. I mean, this field is insane. You could make a strong case that any of these 16 teams in any other postseason bracket would win.
Yep. All right, let's keep on going with some of the comments. Thompson High School out in Alabama getting love. Brian wants to know any love for Ben Davis. We talked about them a little bit to start the show, how impressed you are with them. Yeah,
Reese Taylor, man, you know, from a quarterback position, he's right there with anybody this year. He's definitely on that short list of candidates to win Player of the Year. He pretty much locked up Mr. Football of Indiana with that one last week. It was really going to come down to him or David Bell.
Yeah.
But with Reese Taylor going 2-0 now against Warren Central, just hand the kid the trophy.
All right, back earlier in the year, the Honor Bowl.
Saw
Centennial and IMG. You think Centennial could have won that game if injuries didn't happen? Or
I definitely think Centennial, if they played again, I think Centennial would win. You know, you're going to look at Tanner McKee right there. He went down early in that game with an ankle injury.
Yeah.
And Centennial was able to compete with the number 2 team with their 3rd string quarterback, a kid that didn't even take any reps practicing the quarterback position. And it was a 7-point game in the 4th quarter. I think Centennial is just on a roll right now. And if they played Mater Dei in that CIF D1 championship game in the section title game,
You're going to go?
I'm gonna be there
right.
for sure going.
All right, book it.
You can book it, and I think that potentially could end up being one of the best high school football games we ever see, because both these teams can score a lot of points. Both teams have underrated defenses, but it's going to come down to the quarterback play with Tanner McKee and JT Daniels, I think, too. But long way to go.
Yeah,
Centennial's got a tough road to get there. Even Mater Dei's got a tough road to get there, too. So I don't want to jinx anything yet.
Nope. And then the crazy thing is that's just the the Southern Section finals.
Yeah.
Then they would have to, potentially get De La Salle, who.
Not potentially. They would get De La Salle. It's a lot.
I don't see that Mitch Stevens has joined yet, but so much for that call that De La Salle is going to go down this week.
He was, kind of, it's 7-7. 4 minutes later, 35-7. See ya.
Yeah. All right. Let's keep on rolling here. The Ringling Blue Devils out in Oklahoma.
I'm a North Carolina guy, so I don't know Blue Devils. I don't care. All right.
Okima, Oklahoma, getting some love right here. What's your thoughts on the Holton Ailers and the Conley High School in Greenville, North Carolina?
I'm going to have to read up a little bit.
We'll get back to that one. All right, Mission Hills in San Diego. How about some other divisions in Southern California where there's a lot? There's, I think, 13 or 14 divisions, so hard for us to get to all of them on the air here. But we have all the playoff brackets currently on MaxPreps right now. They're interactive brackets, unlike other ones where you can't click off PDFs. These are all interactive. You can check out your opponents, click on them, and then sign up to score those games too.
That easy
as well. All right, we're going to wrap up the show for right now. A lot of comments still coming in. We'll get to those comments as we go. Good luck to everyone this weekend coming up if you're in playoffs or fighting to get in. All right, that's Zack Poff, C. Montoya. Thanks for joining us.
Boom.